Welcome, PFL fight fans, to Lyon, France. I am told the cuisine capital of the world. Gonna have to test that out at dinner tonight after the weigh-ins. We're here for the PFL Europe Championship weigh-ins at LDLC Arena. Sean O'Connell, Dan Hardy, a big night in what we expect to be a very packed arena. 4 PFL Europe Championship bouts, 3 Dune Bay Decide bouts where someone will earn PFL contracts, and of course a stellar main event and co-main event. Dan Hardy, head of fighter operations in PFL Europe. You've been instrumental in building all of this.
I've been really enjoying researching these fighters and just trying to find the people that are going to really, resonate with these fans in Lyon. We've got some local fighters here. We've got some stars coming through. This card has got everything that you'll need as an MMA fan.
All right, let's talk about our championship bouts. $100,000 and beautiful PFL Europe Championship belts on the line for these 8 fighters. Bantamweights, lightweights, welterweights, and flyweights, all contesting for an opportunity not only to be crowned PFL Europe champion, but maybe to earn an invitation to the global season where they can then chase $1 million. One of our PFL Europe champs from last year did just that only a few weeks ago. Dakota Ditcheva takes down the PFL Europe Championship and, of course, finishes it off, a $1 million run in the PFL global season. Still undefeated and universally recognized now, Dan, as one of the most dangerous women on the planet.
Especially with how she's been dispatching of these opponents as well. I mean, she's pretty much put together the perfect 2 years within the PFL umbrella. She won the Europe Championship. She progressed to the global season. She beat a legend in the game, a highly ranked fighter in the main event. She's a millionaire before she's 30. It's just an incredible story. And the reality is every single fighter on this card, within a year or two, they could be in that same spot.
And Dakota told us that it was a 2-year plan for her. She planned to win that global championship even before she won the European championship. I'd be curious to know how many of the fighters in the building tonight and tomorrow have that same 2-year plan. Let's take a look at our bantamweight bracket as we set the stage for these European championship bouts. Lewis McGrillen steps in a classic, beats Dean Garnett to earn his spot for $100,000 against Alexander Luster. And Luster has looked incredible on his way to a championship berth. But I want to talk about the young man, Lewis McGrillen. We've seen his growth inside the smart cage.
We really have. I mean, several different stages of Lewis McGrillen as an athlete, but this version is definitely the most formidable. He's more calculated. He's more measured with his left-hand power, which we know is a tremendous weapon for him. But everything about his game has to support that dangerous weapon that he's got. And I feel like he's done that. He's made those improvements since the end of last year, and he's primed himself to be in a spot here to grab 100,000 if he can connect with the left hand.
Well, look, he's got a tough test in front of him. Alexander Luster, another rising young talent, this one out of Germany, and he's incredibly well-rounded. A very technical fighter.
Very, very technical, very economical as well. He looks at the problem in front of him and he solves it with a high fight IQ and a very, very broad, deep skill set. You can see his grappling game, how he's able to control people with his arms and his legs. Very BJ Penn with his lower body, the way that he's able to manipulate the person's body. And of course, the success that he's had this year is going to lead him into an incredible amount of confidence for this championship.
One of those 2 men will emerge as the PFL Europe champ for 2024 in the bantamweight division. That brings us to the lightweight contest, and a familiar face here has been reigning atop the European scene at 155 pounds. Jakub Kasuba, again on his way potentially, but he's going to have to get past the hard-hitting Connor Hughes, who has looked incredibly impressive so far this season.
You've got 2 physical specimens here. Jakub Kasuba has used that physicality as well as his grappling, his jiu-jitsu and his really good striking to overwhelm and beat down some of the really, really tough opponents that we've had in these brackets. He's trying to do this for a 2nd year in a row. He's trying to get that second 100,000. He's going to be calling for big opportunities if he's able to do this a 2nd time around. But on the other side, Connor Hughes, equally as skilled and as developed as a fighter, but also a great athlete that is going to be able to fight hard over 25 minutes. And that counter-striking, as he's backing up, moving away, with Jakub Kasuba crashing forward to try and clinch, is going to give him confidence that he can land something meaningful.
The precision striking and the footwork for Connor Hughes. If I'm him, I don't want this fight to go a full 25 minutes. We've seen the gas tank of Kasuba, and that thing is apparently bottomless.
It's ridiculous the pace that he can work at, and he's going to be very, very big and heavy as well tomorrow. So you don't want to be dealing with that, defending takedowns and trying to strip body locks when you've got someone that's so physically strong, able to move you around. It can really sap your gas tank over 25 minutes. Connor really needs to be aggressive with those clinch breaks and try and keep this one standing.
Let's take a look at the 170-pound picture here for the PFL Europe Championships. Daniele Micheli. A lot of folks didn't have his name tip of the tongue coming into the year. Everybody knows him now, and the same is true for Florim Zendelli, who's coming off a really incredible performance. He faced a little danger against Jack Grant. He pushed all the way through. Now, both of these men a win away from $100,000 in that PFL Europe belt.
You know, maybe two dark horses in the division. I had my eye on Zendelli a while ago because he's trained by Peter Zabota, and I know how good of a coach he is. But then on the other side, Daniel Micheli is quite undersized for this weight class. You've seen that in his last two fights, and you'll see it again today when he faces off with his opponent. But the punch that he landed against Ibrahim Aman in the playoffs was, I mean, it came out of nowhere. It was such a short-range punch that you can really tell how much power he possesses. And again, that's going to give him confidence. As soon as his opponent tries to close range to wrestle, he's going to have those short-range punches.
Look, one of the things you have to learn as a fighter is, can you still win if you've been hurt? And we saw Zendelli just bleeding profusely, I think a broken nose, and he battled his way. Breathing open mouth, but he got over a very, very tough opponent in Jack Grant. Earned his spot here and, of course, in the bout tomorrow night. All right, 125 pounds. This is where we saw the model put in place by Dakota Ditcheva last year. You saw a woman emerge from this PFL Europe Championship and take over the global scene, earn $1 million in doing so. Now, these 2024 fighters looking to do the same thing. Valentina Skatici steps in for an injured Chanel Dyer. She's here in the championship opportunity again. She lost last year's title bout to Dakota Ditcheva, and she wants a rematch. But this woman stands in her way, Dan. Paulina Wisniewska still undefeated.
You know, and this is really a battle of ranges. Paulina's very tall and she's very rangy. She's got good experience as an amateur. So she's very good at playing the ranges. She knows when she needs to clinch, when she needs to tie her opponents up. But that's a different thing with Valentina Skatici. We know she's got that low center of gravity and those big power punches coming over the top and around the side. If you're a tall, rangy fighter, sometimes your kryptonite can be the shorter, more powerful, aggressive fighter. And we saw success for Valentina against Chanel Dyer in that last fight, coming over the top to land on the taller fighter. I expect her to try and replicate that game plan again this weekend.
So 4 PFL Europe Championships, 4 gold belts, 4 $100,000 checks will be handed out at LDLC Arena here in Lyon, France tomorrow night. But that's not all we've got. Our main event and our co-main, these are both incredible matchups. And the return of the Lazy King is a big reason why this arena will be sold out tomorrow night. He takes on Laureano Staropoli in the main event. Patrick Habirora, Katalin Safta in the co-main. There's been some tension building in that one, but let's start with the Lazy King. Maybe my favorite nickname in the sport right now. It's very deceptive. Lazy in the fact that he's so efficient and he takes the path of least resistance, but it doesn't mean he's not incredibly dangerous.
No, not incredibly dangerous and incredibly athletic as well. I mean, you know, cartwheels and backflips and all kinds of acrobatics. But when it comes to his grappling skills, he's able to dominate world-class grapplers. And this is something that his opponent is going to be fully aware of. Striker v grappler matchup potentially here, because if you hit the ground with Abdul Abdurakhimov, he's going to tie you in knots. And this has been a fight that's been in the making for a couple of years. I know a lot of French fans are excited to see how Laureano deals with the ground game of Abdul. But at the same time, I'm thinking, how does Lazy King deal with the aggression, the cage control and the punching power of Laureano? That's a real tough question to answer.
Let's take a look at Laureano Staropoli. He is actually coming out of our global season where he fell to an undefeated Murad Ramazanov. But that does not make this man any less dangerous. A veteran of 6 UFC bouts. He's been here in the smart cage before. He knows what the big stage feels like. And like you said, Dan, big time punching power. You saw he likes to mix in the body shots. That could potentially drain the gas tank of the Lazy King and perhaps change the calculus on some of those drawn-out grappling exchanges. A fun main event. I want to talk about the co-main event as well, though. You got that little smile. This is one that you were pretty excited about. Patrick Abarora still undefeated and has a huge following that is rapidly building. And Catalin Safta, he thinks it's hype. False hype. He wants to derail that train.
Yep, straight away, earlier this week when we were doing the face-offs, they were chatting back and forth to one another, and Safta was really trying to make a point that you're overhyped and you're not as humble as you say you are. But on the other side, you've got Patrick, who's really quite stoic, didn't really say too much, kept smiling and smirking, and had a few things to say, but I expect the energy on the stage today to be a lot different to it was earlier this week. I mean, you can see the aggression and the speed of Patrick Abarora. And since this fight, we also know how excellent Claudio Pichello is, who's also on this card. This was a great fight, but Patrick was just a little bit better on the night, and I expect him to have leveled up tremendously since then as well.
Does he stay undefeated, or does Safta do what he came here to do and start putting a question mark next to what the future looks like for Patrick Abarora? All right, so we talked about the main and the co-main. We talked about the PFL Europe Championships. We also have something special, a new treat. Cedric Doumbé, rising star in the world of mixed martial arts. Well, he's going to decide the future of some other hopeful rising stars. Who gets a PFL contract? Doumbé decides. And just to remind you the excitement that Cedric Doumbé brings to the Smart Cage, take a look. Doumbé decides. So we've got 2 contracts to give away. We've got 6 different fighters who are going to be looking to impress this man, Cedric Doumbé, joining us here on the stage at LDLC Arena. And Cedric, I got to ask you, what are you looking for? What is going to help Doumbé decide who gets those contracts?
First of all, I'm very glad to be there, you know. I'm not in the cage this time, and I'm very glad. It's not the same job, you know, and when you're behind the cage, it's different. You know, my shape is not the shape of the fighter, so I feel good. It's not gonna be about winning only the fight, you know. I will look what you do before the fight, what you do during the fight, and what you do after the fight. I don't want to see a Doumbé, another Doumbé, because you cannot be a Doumbé, you know, to be honest. First of all, and second of all, I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of a promoter, in the shoes of a matchmaker, and also in the shoes of a fight fan. And I will pick the one who will satisfy everyone.
Talk to me about the France v France dynamic and how the crowd are going to interact with that, because would it be difficult for them to choose which side to back in those kind of fights?
No, I don't think so. A French fan, they love when the French face another French fighter. They love that. It's going to be fireworks. So I think for me, it's going to be even easier, you know, and more exciting, you know, to choose between 2 French fighters, because the crowd is gonna go crazy, and the fighter, they will give their best, you know, to each other to earn that contract.
All right, so these are the fights right here: featherweight, bantamweight, and catchweight contests. Be honest with me, Cedric. Anybody you already have an eye on? Everyone you're already expecting big things from?
Not really. I have to keep it, you know, professional. I have to keep, but you know, they are very good fighters. I've seen both of them, 2 fighter training. I watched their training. They're very, very, very like motivated to earn that contract. I can't wait. All French fighter, I can't wait. I really can't wait.
Are props required? Because you've done the mattress thing, you brought the vacuum. Do these fighters need to have props here? I didn't see any props.
If one guy bring a mattress, I will give him the contract fighter.
Well, we're hoping that somebody goes to sleep tomorrow night But without any further ado, it's time to get these fighters to the scale and weighed in. That's why we are here tonight, the night before our PFL Europe Championships. Andy Shepard is the voice of our Smart Cage tomorrow.
Thank you, Sean. Yes, tomorrow night is a culmination of our 2024 season. Who is going to walk away with a $100,000 check and a European title? And also, who's Cedric Doumbé going to give a PFL contract to? We're going to find out in a life-changing night tomorrow night. But for a big night, we need some big hitters up here on stage. I want to welcome a man who's been instrumental to all of this. PFL's Managing Director of International, James Fruin. But James, as tough as you are, I don't think you can separate these fighters. So, let's bring in Head of Fighter Operations here at PFL Europe. It's the Outlaw Dan Hardy.
Action tomorrow night will begin in the lightweight division. Showcase opportunity for Claudio Pachella and Oscar Owensworth.
First to the scales in this lightweight showcase contest from Sheffield, England, the Ginger Fury, Oscar Owensworth. Official weight 155.8 pounds. And his opponent fighting out of Rome, Italy, Claudio Pachella. Claudio weighs in at 154.7 pounds.
Welterweights up next. Again, showcase action between Brice Belghazi and Johan Sheridan.
First to the scales in this showcase bout, fighting out of Dublin, Ireland, Owen the Sheriff Sheridan. Owen weighs in at 170.8 pounds. And his opponent, fighting out of Lyon, France, Brice Belghazi. Official weight 167.5 pounds.
Our first PFL Europe Championship bout up next. This one for a flyweight title. Paulina Wisniewska, Valentina Skatici.
First to the scales in this championship bout, fighting out of Rome, Italy, Valentina Skatici. Official weight 125 pounds. And her opponent, fighting out of Ostrava, Poland, the undefeated Paulina Wisniewska.
They call it descendant. They call it descendant.
Official weight for Paulina, 125 pounds.
$100,000 and that beautiful gold belt on the line in the first of 4 championship bouts tomorrow night at LDLC Arena. Another title bout up next, this one in the welterweight division. Daniela Micheli, Florim Zendelli.
First to the scales in this welterweight championship bout, fighting out of Balingen, Germany, Florim Zendelli. Florim weighs in at 169.9 pounds. And his opponent fighting out of La Mesia Terem, Italy, the Cyborg, Daniele Micheli. The Cyborg weighs in at 169.9 pounds.
Italy versus Albania in this PFL Europe welterweight championship bout. We'll bring Cedric Doumbé to the stage because these next three bouts are all Doumbé decides. Again, 2 contracts in the PFL available. 6 fighters competing for those 2 contracts. This one, a bout in the catchweight. Salvo Guariche, Attila Kobas.
First to the scales in this Doumbé decides catchweight contest, fighting out of Mantes-la-Jolie, France, Attila Kobas. Attila weighs in at 176.8 pounds. And his opponent fighting out of Marseille, France, the Karate Kid, Salvo Jedouche. Official weight 176.8 pounds.
Bantamweight, Doumbé decides fight up next. Exuber Boarsa, Mario Campanella.
First to the scales, fighting out of Carcassonne, France, Mario Campanella. Campanelli weighs in at 136 pounds. And his opponent fighting out of Paris, France, by way of Morocco, is Zube Bouazza. Official weight 135.8 pounds.
Featherweights up next, Matisse Doragrin, Yassine Chetatu.
First up in this Doumbé decides contest, fighting out of Paris, France, La Baga, Yassine Chetatu. Official weight 146 pounds. And his opponent also fighting out of Paris, France, the undefeated Mathis Daragri. Official weight 145.9 pounds.
The Rubik's Cube. Points for the prop. Back to PFL European Championship bouts. This one in the lightweight division. Jakub Kasuba, Connor Hughes.
The lightweight title on the line in this next contest. To the scales first, fighting out of Liverpool, England, Connor Hughes. Connor weighs in at 154.7 pounds. And his opponent fighting out of Olsztyn, Poland. He is the 2023 PFL Europe lightweight champion, the auditor, Jakub Kasuba. Official weight 154.5 pounds.
The same body. He'll probably walk over anyway.
Kasuba looking for his second PFL Europe Championship.
Yeah, I'll go in, yeah. I can come in here and give it to him. When we do blue. Yeah. Yeah, we are.
Action continues in the bantamweight division. Lewis McGrillen, Alexander Lustig.
First to the scales in this bantamweight championship contest, fighting out of Bonn, Germany, Alexander Lustig. Official weight 134.9 pounds. And his opponent, fighting out of Manchester, England, the McGrizzler, Lewis McGrillen. Official weight 134.9 pounds.
Little conversation here for the bantamweight championship bout. The fight will happen tomorrow night. That's when you get paid for it. Lustig and McGrillen. Heavyweight showcase up next. Mikhail Grogue, Lamine Sene.
First to the scales in his heavyweight showcase bout. First fighting out of Lyon, France, Lamine Sene. Amin hits the scales at 255.2 pounds. And now his opponent, fighting out of Strasbourg, France, Mikhail Grogu. Grogu weighs in at 263.6 pounds.
Two heavyweights seeking their first PFL Europe wins tomorrow night at LDLC. Catchweight bout up next. Patrick Abirora, Katalin Safta.
First to the scales in our co-main event. First fighting out of Lausanne, Switzerland, Katalin Aquaman Safta. Official weight 165.1 pounds. And his opponent, fighting out of Namur, Belgium, the undefeated Belgium bomber, Patrick Abirora. Official weight 165.3 pounds.
All right, guys, a quick question for both of you. Katalin first. There's been a lot of trash talk here between the two of you. What have you got to say to your opponent for tomorrow?
I make him become humble.
He makes you become humble, Patrick. What's your response?
I just want to say, Alhamdulillah, tomorrow you're going to see.
It's going to be a great fight, guys. What a co-main event. Face forward.
Co-main event between Patrick Abirora and Katalin Safta. One last bout in the welterweight division. Abdul Abduragimov, Lariano Staropoli.
First to the scales in our welterweight main event. First fighting out of the blue corner from La Plata, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Loriano Pepe Staropoli. Official weight 170.8 pounds. And his opponent in the red corner, fighting out of Nantes, France, the Lazy King, Abdul Abduragimov. Official weight 170.6 pounds.
All right, a question for both of these guys. Loriano, this fight should have happened a long time ago. How do you feel now you get to fight him?
I feel so great. I feel so great to fight against him because I respect too much this guy. I respect too much I have many Chechen guys, but this fight it will be awesome.
Abdul, what do you think to Loriano as an opponent, and how do you get the victory tomorrow?
I think he's a good opponent. I respect also, and it was a good fight because in Eras I have the belt, of welterweight, and he has the interim. So now we'll see who's going to get the real belt,
I'm excited for this main event, guys. Good luck tomorrow.
Lariano Staropoli and the Lazy King in your main event tomorrow night. And I am told there are just a few tickets available for this event at LDLC Arena. Just a couple. The people love the Lazy King. Everyone on their feet. This man is a cult hero. Loriano Staropoli, 6 knockouts to his credit.
He is a warm, best way of describing him. He brings the fight every time. And it's going to be an absolute scrap. December 14th, live from Lyon.
Fun main event. A bunch of tension on the stage tonight. You're right there in the middle of all of it. What was Lewis McGrillen saying to Alexander Luster? They were staring at each other for a long time.
I'm not going to repeat some of it. You can ask McGrillen what he was saying, but one thing that was for certain is that he made sure that Alexander Luster knew that he was from Manchester. He repeated that a bunch of times, and that means something if you're from the UK. That means that you're hard as nails, and McGrillen's going to try and prove that tomorrow. These guys just did not want to separate. Same thing with the co-main event, though. Like, these guys cannot wait to get their hands on one another. But you've got to love the confidence and the conditioning of both of these guys.
That's right. They get their hands on one another tomorrow night. 4 European title bouts. The Doumbé decides. Cedric Doumbé took part in our weigh-ins this evening. And, of course, you've got that main event and the co-main event. And you're right, the co-main event a little spicier than the main event, at least in terms of the tension here on stage. So a lot to look forward to at LDLC Arena tomorrow night here in Lyon, France. The stage is set. The fighters all made weight and are weighed in. $100,000 gold belts. And, of course, everyone hoping to follow the model set by Dakota Ditcheva, European champion in 2023, world champion and millionaire in 2024. Do these European talents on the rise have the same 2-year plan? Tune in tomorrow night as we find out at LDLC Arena in Lyon, the PFL Europe Championship. Can you solve a Rubik's Cube, Dan Hardy?
I certainly can't. Certainly not when I'm on a weigh-in stage with Cedric Doumbé standing next to me. No, that's too much pressure.
Jacob Kasuma there on your left, looking to go back-to-back for PFL Europe Championships. Connor Hughes standing in his way, and of course, these two with a little conversation. Unbroken eye contact. Way too long. Uncomfortable amount of eye contact there. Watch a fight tomorrow night.